We should be live. Let's see if we are. Hello, internets. Let's see if we're get some folks in here. Welcome back. I am back in the mine. Glad for you guys to join me.
Is this 25? Or is it 26?
It's 25.
And unfortunately, I was just trying to turn this on, and right when we did fresh build, and I haven't configured anything yet, we're gonna go through that, we popped a cap. Literally, like turning it on, it literally almost popped that cap off right in the end. A fresh, brand new riser, and it made a little poof of smoke and everything. It was unfortunate that I didn't turn on the stream before I did that, because that would have been
pleasant. Yeah,
it does smell pleasant. It is what happens sometimes with these risers, and that's why I always say buy an extra one just in case. This one will be going back. I don't know if you can zoom in and see that one. Little kind of, it's like a tilted hat. Just popped it about popped it right off. This is the S7 riser. Version or 7S. Let's go through and hit save on some of this stuff. So a fresh build. Oh, let's kind of get into it real quick. So what we're going to be doing tonight, we'll see who's all. We got a few people watching right now. So this is going to be a unique build, and we're going to be using kind of it's a already built hard drive, and I will do a video building the hard drive, you know, Windows fresh build. We'll actually go from actually downloading a fresh copy, you know, and load in the USB stick that'll actually write to the Windows disk and go through that whole thing. We're not going to do that tonight. I already have kind of a hard drive built that we usually use with this motherboard. We'll pull over the boxes of what we're using here. I think I got some of them over here. We're using the normal Z270 Prime. Again, the motherboard that's going to be used tonight, Z270. This is the A Prime. We usually use the AR. I actually ordered this off of Amazon just to get the A this round. That way people can see. We'll put all the links, obviously. We'll have everything that we're using tonight in there for you guys can see the build and stuff. But the point of this build tonight is taking an entire lineup of cards and putting them on the same board and getting each one with configuration, you know, with all the stuff that's out there, and where you can only buy 2 at a time or 1 at a time, or you only get one, you get this really kind of mixed rig. And people are asking questions, can I mix Nvidia cards with AMD cards on the same machine, same build? How's that work, especially if I'm changing generations, such as, you know, well, this is the same generation of Nvidia. This is the 1050 Ti, so a GTX 1050, a GTX was this the 1060. This is the 3 gig version, a 1070 Founders Edition, a 1080 Founders Edition, a 1080 Ti Founders Edition, and then an RX480 and an RX580, all in one machine. So it's a kind of a spread out kind of machine here. We'll get the other camera. Let's get the other camera on this, and they can get a kind of a top view real quick. So right here's the RX580 that we got. This is a RX480. It's an MSI Twin Phoser Gaming X. This is the 1080 Ti, 1080, 1070, the 1060. That glare is horrible. And then the 1050 Ti. And here, let me get this mixed around so you guys can see. Sorry for the shaky camera, still shaky camera. There you go. So you can see the different brandings. So this is for the Win edition of the Ti. This is the PNY GeForce GTX 1060 overclock. This is there's the 1070. Show you guys the branding there. There's the 1080. There's the 1080 Ti. You can see the Ti right there. And the Gaming X. Twin Phoser. And then that. No, right now I don't have any of the risers plugged in. So none of the risers. This is a fresh build, fresh board. We'll go ahead and let that get back. Thanks, Jason, on the camera. So first things first on this build is we're going to be just setting up the board with this A. We're going to go through it quickly. We already have this out on the web, so we'll link to that video. Very first thing I do is I'm just going to go update from the internet real quick. Get the latest BIOS. Got internet plugged into this. Don't see any blinking lights, but we'll see. This thing was plugged in, I believe it is. Make sure. Got lights back here. Yep, it's good. So.
Are you gonna set up some motherboard BIOS settings on this tonight?
Yeah, we're doing the BIOS settings right now. So as I go through them, we can get the camera moved over to it. So right now very first thing we do is, you go into F7, you go over to boot, you go into flash, it takes you to this screen. Next, there's a few of us that's done, we did the video on this, I think, first. I think I've seen a few other folks kind of come in and make videos of their own doing this. So there's lots of sources out here to go ahead and update this. Again, Z270 Prime, this is the A version, not the AR like I usually use. It's pretty much the same board. The big difference on that, and I'll show you guys real quick, if you want to switch that camera over here, because this is going to take a second to download. So the big difference between the A and the AR, people ask me this question all the time. So the AR only has the HDMI. The AR has the DVI and the display port that comes with it. So that's your main differences between, other than that, the board is the same. It's got 7 slots on the bottom down here. So it's got the actual seven PCIe slots. So we can flip that back. When this goes, it's going through an update in the BIOS right now. So again, I wanted to do kind of a fresh build. We're gonna stair step these cards in. I'm gonna show you guys how I kind of do it. I was gonna try to get all this ready and then just show you kind of all the cards working together, but then I was like, well, then I'm kind of robbing you guys from seeing any kind of issues that I run into getting so many different cards working together.
Like the busted cap.
Like the busted cap. I wish I would have got that on there when this thing popped. That would have been, you saw a little poof of smoke. It looked like a little nuke went off. Well, we might get lucky. This could have been just a bad. This is number 2. I'd ordered about 100 of these, and that's number 2 that's down. So the defect rate is not looking good so far on these in traditional supply chain sense. So this is going to update the BIOS. It should be done in here in another minute or so, and then we'll get into this. So what I'm going to do is once this starts to come back up, I'm just going to plug in one of the AMD cards first, or it doesn't matter, I could have plugged in one of the Nvidia cards too. I'm going to plug in one, I'm going to let it come up, I'm going to let it find it. Then I'm going to go ahead and plug in the other Nvidia card, or the other AMD card, and make sure it sees both of those. I'll go ahead and start hashing on those, make sure that those are running. Then I'll start stair stepping the Nvidia cards in. I'll do one, and then I'll go ahead and do the other 4 at the end, like at one time. Because once I get one and that driver kind of sets, then I can let the other 4 just plug in and let them do their thing. And I'll get in there, and you guys will get to see all that. And then we'll get Claymore mining on them, and just show, tonight's big thing is just showing that you could do multi-cards of different generations and get that working. And then looking into possibly as early as tomorrow, if I get stuff in later tonight, I'm still waiting for one more shipment. If I actually get my expander cards, then I'm going to try to go ahead and do a build where I'm going to have 7 of the Nvidia cards and then 7 AMD cards all on the same board using my expander cards. So that'd be 14. And we'll have to split that across 2, maybe even 3 power supplies. Get 14 on the same board within Windows, using 8 for the first driver and 8 for the second one. I'm going to get that. We're going to see if we can get that working for you guys, and then show you guys how to do that. I think we can. I think we can actually get that done, and we're going to go ahead and take a shot at that.
Say hi to Bob.
Bob Saget throwing in another super chat. Guys, what I'm going to do is in any of the super chats that come in tonight, I will get to all of them. We're going to do it a little differently, so if things kind of roll in, that way we can keep on script. We'll get through that, and then I'll answer all the questions and anything that comes in from that separately. So this thing should be done. Okay, we're gonna get past that. And then I'm gonna go in there right now. We'll get the camera on there. We actually have another capture card. We just didn't have time to get it configured. We're gonna start capturing this screen separately. That way it's nice and crystal clear and we don't have to keep moving the camera anymore. So we did get that. We're using some of that super chat money you guys gave us to enhance. We also got a stream deck, which will start allowing us to do a lot more different transitions and make this stream a lot more quality for you guys. So we do take that, we reinvest it back into the production and upgrading the camera equipment and other hardware. So fresh boot, you saw it takes a second. Right here now it's saying the BIOS is updating. So you gotta let it do its thing. And then it'll come back and it'll take us back into the BIOS. And then we're gonna go through the settings to make sure this is configured. That way it'll see all the cards when we get into it. It's good to be back. I was out all last week. You guys saw a couple live streams from me, but not hardware live streams. So, all right, let's get this.
What size power supply are you using
recovered.
tonight?
Tonight we're using this guy, and we do not need this big of a power supply, but we're using a titanium edition of the AX1500i. These things are becoming like gold. You can't find them anywhere anymore. I don't know if you got that.
Yep.
But really it just gives me enough rails to work with. Again, we don't need that level of power supply on that. That 1500i is actually for a different project that I'm going to be doing with some 1080 Ti's. So we're going to go into advanced. Check platform configuration. I think we're good there. System agent, SA. Mouse is not wanting to play with this.
Premium mouse kit?
I don't know. I don't need the mouse, so we'll go here. The DMI max link speed, Gen 2 on this board. DEG, you guys have seen this several times, but for the new folks, it's good. Both of those go to Gen 2. I disable this. I've seen other people that leave it enabled. They can troubleshoot problems after their instabilities later. 4G decoding, that's another big important one. Fast boot. Make sure one more check. Advanced. Advanced power management, I like having that on. Onboard devices. I'm going to disable that controller. And then I'm going to save those changes. And we're going to let Windows boot up real quick. I'll make sure that that drive actually has Windows loaded on it successfully. Yeah, those are on. Those are fine.
Okay. I'm just noticing a big glare on the TV.
Oh, is it coming from those? We can remove those.
Yeah.
Or ones behind the computers?
No, it's coming from those over there.
Yeah, we can
It's on the
switch.
stairs.
Yeah, just this one we want to keep on. We're trying to get our lighting situation figured out since we have a high glare. Yeah, so
Hit
that
the
dropped.
cans too.
That dropped this one though.
Oh.
So one of them
Which
drops.
one?
Yeah, if those ones turn on, then that's good. All right, so Windows is up.
Nope. There you
And then you can drop the cans. All right, so that's Windows. We're good. We're going to shut it back down.
Ah, it's the sunset.
go. Oh. It's the sun.
Can't turn off the sun, bro.
I could try.
Getting some glare from the sun.
I could try to turn off the sun.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a lot of people who are happy about that.
Yeah.
Our mind's not deep enough.
Let's get now. Let's go ahead and get this other camera so they can see what I'm doing here. So I'm gonna plug the first the first one over here. So this is the first riser. The way I lay the risers out essentially are in order of the cards. So the farthest left one is this guy here, next one's this guy here. So I'm just gonna go into the first port over here, plug that guy in, and actually I'm just gonna go ahead and plug in the 2 AMDs right away. And we're gonna get that part done. What's up? All right, we can. Yeah. So as that boots up again, the HDMI is plugged into the board itself. So now we're gonna let the AMD cards set themselves up. The first card already has a BIOS mod on it. The second one does not. This is a pretty fresh 480. I had ordered a long time ago and it finally came in. So I haven't even done a BIOS mod on it yet. But it's just fresh out of the box. I wanted to use a RX480. It's gonna blink for a little bit as Windows is configuring the 2 cards, and then we're gonna validate that we see them both. And we're gonna move this mouse over if this mouse ever wants to work. I don't think it likes this pad. Switch.
You get the minions.
I'll take the minions pad. Minions pad. All right, much better. So we are going to go into Device Manager. We're gonna look. We see one of them. The other one hasn't set up yet. Both. I see the 580. I don't see the 480 yet. Make it try to lose another riser here. So I got the 580 set up right now. I do have the 480 and the 580 set up. So what I'm going to do real quick is just run the Claymore, validate that it didn't set up the 480 as the 580. So we're just launching that. It sees the 1. More than likely, I probably have either another dead riser getting right airs on the first GPU. So I think I'm gonna have to reload some drivers here. I'm gonna go ahead and, I don't think those drivers are all the way loaded. I'm gonna restart it. There we go. So thread stuck in device driver. So I've seen that before when it's trying to set up another card. Let it go ahead and die, let it reboot, and then it should finish up installing the next driver again, or finish up installing the driver, and then it should be fine. So I just got ahead of myself on that because I was trying to get it to mine, and it was still trying to set up that driver. It wasn't all the way done yet. So we're gonna let that reboot.
You've been attracting lots of lonely women that want you to click their website. All these bands.
Oh. Yeah, random Yeah, and I'll get to all the super chats here at when we're in between a break, guys, and we'll answer all the questions if you have questions. I'm gonna open up the task manager to look and see if it's actually running any kind of drivers. Install. Yeah, right here. So I opened up the task manager. A lot of people ask me, like, we see you do a lot of stuff, but we have no idea what you're doing. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for right here, driver installation module, and it's running. That's what I should have did before, but I just got impatient and just went straight to it. So that thing's doing stuff right now. It's trying to configure some stuff. So I gotta let that do its business right now. That's in the task manager under processes. And while that's going through and doing that, I can go into device manager and see its stuff here. So there, now it's seeing the 480. So I just never let it get to the chance. So it was able to set up the 580, and you notice it wasn't even in other devices or it wasn't in there. It took a single reboot, right? Well, it took me crashing it, and then it took a single reboot. But we got to let that driver installation piece finish this guy right here. And then when this finally drops off, if this stays with an exclamation point, we'll handle that separately. But right now we got to let it kind of do its thing and finish out this piece here. That the computer is working. It's chewing on that piece. It's not froze up. It's not stopped. It's got to do its thing. Yeah, we got to get that other thing's done. You can zoom back out because that looks like a horse. You know what? And that list that you have up there in that upper left is way wrong.
Oh yeah. I never updated that.
Yeah. Let's not confuse them.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that's why I unchecked it earlier. You can update it. It's
multi-cards.
Yeah, multi-cards, and then I'm getting lots of bands tonight, huh? I hear it.
Keep us busy.
Yep.
I think I'm winning though.
You think you're winning?
Blue and I are seeing who can ban them first.
Get a lot of spammers tonight, huh? There it is. So I was kind of watching the performance here. Driver light, it's still going right now, but this guy right here does not have an orange exclamation point. So I mean, we could do the math on this to figure out how long, but this has an i3 7100K in it. I think it's a 7100K. Yes, it's the i3 7100. Again, guys, you guys and every miner out there has been out there just picking up all the G4400s, 4500s, all the Pentiums, all the Celerons. There's hardly any around there. Even on I think it was like 3 to 4 weeks to try to get a 4400 on Amazon. So I just been spending a little more, $129, getting the 129 or 139, somewhere around there for the i3 7100. So it looks like the CPU's kind of settled down. We'll go back to processes and look at this. Now we do not see anymore. I sorted the CPU top to bottom. I do not see that driver anymore trying to install. That's no longer the top of the list. So now this thing should be in check. We'll know by going into Claymore. And we'll come back into here. And we'll let this run. It should see both of them now, which it does. Now that RX480 is the 4 gig version. And there's the 580, which had the RX580, 480, 580, 8 gig, 4 gig, and we're gonna let these run right now just show that they're working. It's actually doing dual mining, so it's gonna do Decred too. I'll click on ETH just by itself here in a second. But we'll go ahead and let those two run for a second, make sure they're stable, and then we'll start plugging in the Nvidia cards. Got a share accepted, that's good. That means it's working now. GPU 0 is not dying because it's not in the middle of trying to set up its driver. And then there with the dual mine, 29.4 and 24. Again, the 24 on that 480 is because it's not modded. The card is literally out of a box. and plugged right in. I have not modded this card yet. The RX480. We will mod that RX480 4 gig, and we will post out that BIOS for you guys. But that should be around 29 hash also once I'm done with it. But you can see, you know, 833 in that for Decred, 723. So that's a dual mine kind of setup right now with the dual mining. But it is running, it is working. 53 for both cards. We see it good. I'm gonna close this now that I got that both working. And just see if this is my single. Yeah, this is my single one.
Okay. Which cards are you testing right now?
Right now, these are just the AMD side of it. It's an MSI Twin Frozer Gaming X480 4 gig, and then an XFX RX580 8 gig, and that's the black edition, I believe, or the crimson black edition. Yeah. No, this is not the crimson. This is just the overclocked standard RX580, and it's now this is not dual mining. This is just Ethereum, and it's at 29.5, and then the RX480 out of the box is 24.5. So it's just out of the box, no other kind of configuration going on with it. I don't have the power on those two right now. I don't know where that's at. Here. Power on both of those. Oh, you hit the camera.
Lean it forward.
Oh, hold on, that's not on power. It's on volts, which is never been a kid about that. So right now it's 409 for just those two. These are not downclocked in any way. They're not. There's no power settings really on it. The one just has a BIOS mod on it, but it hasn't been downgraded. So pretty high, but not configured yet for power. We will do that after we get everything working. We'll work with powers, and we'll show you guys that down. We'll get the whole system power usage down. But all right, so those two cards are working. We're going to shut it down, and we're going to add our first Nvidia card. And don't worry, I'll take this back over. I'll take the camera back over so you guys can see that in a second here. Which cards for the folks that are just joining.
Which version of the AMD drivers for the board did you?
I will bring that up. I believe it was. I can't remember actually which one it is. I believe it's 17.4.4 with. Yeah, I think it's 17.4.4. But we'll bring it up here in a second. With the mod, I had to do. There's a trick that you have to do with and it's all over the web. But you have to take some of the older drivers and copy it over a particular folder over the new driver's source file. Crypto Mind, a couple other people have done that, and let's create a note and we'll make sure that we add it. Just to add the driver fix for AMD, you can just hit one of these guys, and then just new, and then just add Crypto Mind's link to for AMD driver. Well, I like spreading the kind of love across the YouTube community. If they've worked hard to do their own videos that kind of cover some of the segments, I will cross-link to some of their work. Just to spread the love on getting some subscribers and get you guys over there. It's a good video, and it covers that kind of segment of which drivers to use with these cards. And then we can focus on areas where people have not touched yet, or if there's some ambiguity. I'm totally messed that up.
What?
Ambiguity?
Ambiguity?
That's why she's here. I'm horrible at some of the enunciation, so you guys can all troll and make fun of me on that. But that's why I got friends. And an awesome wife that puts up with me. All right, so we just got the two RX series. Those are, you saw those hashing and running. I've just now plugged in the 1080 Ti. So now we got the Nvidia card in there, and we're gonna let that get set up now. And then after I get this first Nvidia card set up, and it's running and it's hashing with these two, I'm gonna plug in the rest on the next reboot. So we're not gonna have to stair step through each one. I just want that driver to initialize. I want it to bind to it. I want it to be happy with the AMD, and then it's just a matter of stair stepping the rest of those. So I'm going to the task manager. I'm watching the service host do its fetch. I'm going in and going to properties, device manager. There's a couple different ways to get to that. All right, so Nvidia driver, like a boss, already set up. So now we got RX580, 480, 1080 Ti. And then the Intel built-on graphics card, which does nothing besides play this video. Okay, so I don't see any drivers being updated. It's good to go. Again, we will put all the driver versions out there for you guys. I'm going to pull up Play More. I'm going to make sure it's running. I'm going to launch it just with ETH. I'm going to leave that there. So right there, you see 2 AMD cards, those 2. Nvidia card 1, total cards 3. So now you're seeing all the cards working together. 3 GPUs. They're going to run right now. Again, I have not set up any settings with the 1080 Ti. We'll do all the modifications, and once we get everything running, we're going to go to individual cards and we're going to mess with their settings. So out of the box, that 1080 Ti is 32 without touching it. 32 mega hash for that 1080 Ti. That thing's going to end up being like close to 38 mega hash after we're done with it. So right now we're up to 86 with just these 3 cards. I'm going to let that run for a few cycles. Make sure nothing blows up. We need to update that title. It just says Live 25.
Yeah.
Like nobody knows what they're watching. Just put the Ranger cards, multi-rig. All right, so that's going. I'm gonna shut that down. I'm gonna shut the machine down, and now I'm gonna plug the rest. And the reason why I'm doing that is just to let the drivers bind to the series of card. Let it make its hooks, let it set it up in Windows, make its registry references, do all of its business, and then I stair step the rest of the cards.
What brand 1080 Ti do we have tonight?
This is a Founders Edition brand of the 1080 Ti.
EVGA?
The EVGA Founders Edition. No, it's the Asus, I think. I think it's of the brand. It's the Asus brand of the Founders Edition. I'll get the box, guys. We'll show you the box. That way, you guys know exactly which model we're working with.
With a mixed rig like this, what are you mining?
So we're gonna mine. We're gonna eventually just mine ETH and probably Psi or library, because Decred doesn't do very well with Nvidia cards. All right, so I just plugged in all the rest of the cards, and we'll go back through the range with the other camera real quick in a second. I'm gonna show you the box, if I can find it in the sea of boxes. The actual 1080 Ti.
Someone was just starting out. Is it better to buy one really nice card or a couple subpar cards?
Yeah, I'd say subpar, and I would say just, I mean, it really depends. If you're just going to go like one card or something, get a 1080 Ti. You can game with it. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. It's one of the fastest cards out there. It's not affected by what's looming as the AMD issue right now, where the EPOCH's going to get up to a certain level and start causing hash issues, which I firmly believe in some capacity AMD's going to approach with like either a driver update or a I do not think it's a platform update. You look at R9 390s, I think it has everything to do with some kind of driver, the way it's handling something in the memory controller that could probably be fixed through a driver. the architecture should not be causing the issue that's happening right now with that. We're going to go through and do some testing. It's not going to be in tonight's episode. Maybe if we can get all these things dialed in quickly, I'll go through some of the benchmarking to let you guys see the downgrade of the AMD cards. But I would say, for the answer to that question, I would say start off kind of
if you have
smaller.
a modern gaming computer,
Yeah.
just install the software in mine on in its free time.
Yeah.
If you're gonna build a rig, it doesn't have a purpose other than mining. That's really it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go with like 1060s or the cheaper cards.
so if you want to dabble with building a rig, buy a group of cheaper graphics cards, cheaper modern graphics cards. Start with that and then build your way up. Those cards will pay themselves off, and then you turn your money around and buy better cards.
I'm letting it right now. It's just loading up. We're gonna let it do its thing and load up all these cards. There's 4 cards, so it's gonna take it a second to get them all loaded. Explorer.
Just because you're running a 1080 Ti Founders Edition, if someone else has that card, each card is unique sometimes, and they might not get the same hash rates, correct?
By and large, platform-wise, you should get pretty close. Where you start to have the big differences, out of the box, most of everybody should have the same rate. That's like what you get with the platform. What you won't get necessarily is the ASIC quality in each of the chips are different. So whenever, and the memory and the memory controller and a lot of the VRMs, which are the voltage regulation modules, all that stuff's a little different on each card. And where I might be able to get 1,000 megahertz on the memory overclock, you may only be able to get 850. So it's really kind of comes down to what tolerance level will the cards go to. And most all of them will overclock to at least 400 megahertz on the memory to 500. And most all of them will go up to 100 megahertz overclock on the GPU. But it's that extra stretch is where you get the higher quality cards can really kind of go with it. It's like why that video like 2 or 3 weeks ago that we had with the Zotac Amped Extreme Edition, that was all the major like tested components that passed all the highest end threshold tests for Zotac, and they put that all onto one card. That's why I was able to push 1,000 megahertz to it and push 175 megahertz to the GPU, and it worked. And it was pushing almost 33 megahash out of a 1070. You can take a small single fan, smaller, cheaper like Armor 1070, and you're not going to get that out of it. It's just not going to have the components for it. So we got almost everything here. The only one that we're missing, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm missing 2 cards right now. I'm missing the 1060 and the 1070 that I don't see in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a quick reboot. I do not see the system working on anything, and then we'll trace down and see if we have a riser issue or something else. So I have all 7 plugged in. I'm going to let it reboot real quick. I'm going to see if it catches these other cards, and then we'll go through the troubleshooting that I have to go through to see if we have any issues with the riser or why I'm not seeing the other cards. So again, always, when in doubt, reboot, and then we'll go through that. Got any other questions, Rosemary?
Cards, how long have you had them running? Has one ever burnt out from being mined for too long?
I've only lost 2 cards in all my mining, and that's probably out of thousands of cards that actually have died. The actual card has died. I've had fans go out all the time back in the day.
That's still devastating.
And it's still devastating because it really takes down the card.
Yeah, it causes the card to die.
Yeah, it'll cause the card to die, but I've only lost 2 cards out of probably 2,000 graphics cards that actually just the card died. And it was kind of older cards actually. It was a 290. I had a 290 go out on me, and then I had a 7970 go out. So that's all way over. I haven't lost any RX480s. I haven't lost any 580s. I haven't lost any Nvidia cards. It's just the fans burn out.
And the key to that is you just kept
I keep
fans.
other fans on them, and I keep the cards at no more than like 25-28% fan speed, and I use external cooling on them.
So box fans,
Yeah, I once had a fan go out on a card, and it melted the heat sink. So ended up with a pool of, or a dried pool of metal on my table.
And then we're going to, I was making sure that nothing was running, and I'm making sure now that we see the other cards. I'm actually going to start these up and let them mine for a second, and then we'll troubleshoot if we don't see the other cards. So I don't still see the other cards, but we will troubleshoot what the actual issues are of why I'm not seeing the other cards here right now. Because everything, I see 5 right now on this board. I don't see any others in the other piece here. So I see the TI, the 1050, the 1080, the 1080 Ti, and then the 2 RX series. It's still blinking on me. It might be still trying to install. But I haven't done anything else. Let's check the device manager here. Anti-malware executable. Now I should be seeing some driver execution here, and I don't. So I'm gonna launch Playmore real quick on these. Make sure these are playing well together, and then we're going to. And the reason why I do this, guys, is I try to make sure that the cards that do show up are working. I want to see them working. I want to make sure everything's good. I want to make sure the risers are good. I want to make sure it's not a false positive. So right there, 2 cards AMD, 3 cards Nvidia. There's the 1080, 1050 Ti, 1080 regular. Look at that 1050 Ti, 6 computing units. That's funny. So that's going through right now. We're going to let that kind of catch up and go through. While we're waiting for that one, we can. Well, here it comes. Shares accepted. We should start seeing some actual hashing going on here for a second.
Someone asked how you disable the Windows updates so it doesn't change the drivers.
We can get into that. I could show somebody that. I mean, there's all kinds of resources out there. I mean, we can put it. We'll put a link in the description. Let's add that as a link. Disable Windows updates. There's a couple like real good YouTube things to show how to do that. All right, so here it is, out of the box. Again, none of these things have been touched or configured. They're just out. The GPU 1 is the actual RX580. That's at 29.5 mega hash. That has a BIOS update with the straps on it. The GPU 2 is the 1080 Ti. GPU 3 is the 1050 Ti. Out of the box is at 12 roughly, and the GPU 4 is the 1080, which has the DDR5, which does not, or DDR5X.
They're asking you to hit the S key so they can see the hash rate.
Well, that's the shares. That's all that's doing. So we're letting that go for a second, and then I'm going to shut this down, and we're going to check and find out and trace out what's going on with the 1060 and the 1070. And the fastest way I'm going to do, hand me 2 more risers real quick out of there. I'm going to check both risers by swapping with 2 other ones just in case. Since I had one blow up on me, I'm 50-50 on trusting this batch. All right, so that's holding the 119 mega hash. We'll let that shut down, shut down, shut down. I'm going to trace out once this is all the way down. So the 1060. Now I'm taking everything with this 1060 off. Yeah, you can pull that off, and then we can get this as a small camera. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, both of them going. There's a bad one, possibly bad one over here. We're going to see if a new riser fixes this particular issue. Maybe we'll get lucky and we'll blow up another riser.
That's not lucky.
Yeah, it's not lucky.
Why did you choose Windows over Linux for this?
Mainly because most of the users that are watching this channel are not really super familiar with Linux, and I want to show at least initially this, and then once we can actually load up Simple Mining OS and show people that in a different episode. But a majority of the users are not really necessarily users, but folks that are mining are not getting into Linux, even though I highly recommend it. And since I was out of town, and I haven't, since the updates to Simple Mining has modified, I think he's on a few versions now on the OS that supports the Nvidia cards, I have not messed with it. So this week I will be trying out both of them, that and Pimp OS for the Nvidia side. So we'll do both. Reseating. Now before I change the riser out on that one, I'm just reseating it, making sure we're good here. Just reseated all the risers also, and now giving it a reboot. I just replaced the riser on one. I'm gonna zoom. Or yeah, you're fine. That's fine. And we're gonna let this reboot. Again, one riser's done. And we'll let this come back in. Open up Task Manager, Device Manager. I see a new video controller. So if that's my 1060 and I don't see my 1070, then I'm going to go in and change the 1070's riser too. So right now I'm going to put it on the riser. Now that's, the math on this isn't adding up on these risers right now. If I'm done 7 of them, well, 2 of them were bad. There's the 1063 gig.
First comment about the shirt.
Yeah, you guys see that?
Very true.
That's right.
I think it's a little more than that.
Yeah.
Pretty generous, giving him 2%.
Yeah. Can we go over 100% chip?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so the 1060 looks set up. The 1070 is still not there. There's a good chance I have a dead riser there too. This was probably a bad batch of risers with the one blowing up. And this is guys, this is probably the most frustrating thing that could possibly happen to you whenever you're going through your mining rig and you've ordered risers and you have all your cards, you have your motherboard, your CPU, your memory, you think you're in good shape, and you can't get cards working, you follow the different tutorials, you've done all the BIOS changes on your motherboard, and you're like, what gives? There's a good chance it's probably your riser. You're seeing it here first, that I'm just changing this brand new riser out of this package, and I'm seeing the card now. Now sometimes just swapping risers and stuff, that's why I tell you guys to swap the risers around. Like if I swap the riser out for a new one for the 1070 here in a second and it doesn't fix it, then I'm going to take a good riser and I'm going to plug it in the 1070. A good meaning one that's already set up on this machine and I know that works and I know that's hashed. I'll put it onto the 1070 and make sure we're good to go. So the 1063 gig now is on there. I am going to go into Play More. I'm going to launch it, make sure it fires up, and then we're going to shut it down one more time to do this riser swap out for the 1070. And then we should have every card in this machine on this thing. So now you're seeing 2 AMD cards, 4 of the Nvidia cards, 1080, 1050 Ti, 1060, 3 gig, and 1080 Ti. And then once we get everything running, we're going to go through and we're going to individually set some settings up, and then we're going to see if we can what we can maximize this rig for across the board as just a completely multi-brand, yeah. So we picked up the GPU 4 hasn't kicked up yet. We'll just wait for the next cycle as it's processing the DAG.
Derek gave you a super chat for banana money.
For banana money, I hear you. All right, so there's the 1060 Ti, or the 1060 3 gig rather. It comes out of the box at about 19 mega hash. So we're up to 138. Everything unoptimized besides that RX580, which had a BIOS on it, which allows it to go to 29.5. And then that crazy 32 that you're seeing is the 1080 Ti out of the box. Those cards do crazy on ETH. So we're at 138. It looks like they're all hashing. You can see the range of cards here and their speeds out of the box.
Looks like GPU 4 was actually the 1050 Ti.
Yeah, it starts shifting everything around.
The 1050 Ti, what card are you using right now?
The 1050 Ti is the For the Win edition. It comes out of the box at about 12 mega hash, and we can get it to almost 15 on that card. We'll get that thing after we overclock it some. We'll get about 14.5 out of that card.
What brand is the For the Win?
It's the EVGA 1050 Ti For the Win edition.
Number of gigs?
That is a 4 gig card. We will put all the boxes here. I'm going to gather one. Once we get a good overclock on this and we'll let it run for a little bit, I will get each of the card boxes and I'll put them out there for everybody can look at. That way they know exact models. And again, we will try to get all of these linked. I'm not going to say that you can get them all because, I mean, most of these cards are kind of hard to find. But this, if you have this card, this is really for, this video is to serve a couple purposes. This video is to serve if you guys are trying to get into mining and you can't find stuff, and you see all these other people's mining videos and our videos, and you see all these same exact cards. It doesn't have to be this way. You can actually go out and put a mixed rig together and get it to work and get it to hash fine. So right now that's ran for a couple minutes. We're good. We're going to go ahead and try to get the 1070 to work now. We're going to shut this down. And we're going to do a riser swap real quick on the 1070. We can zoom back out that way we can see. And then I will take a sweep across. Thanks, Jason.
You're welcome.
We are going to get this unplugged. And again, I am replacing the entire riser with this. This is the 1070. pulling that guy out. That's the whole riser. Pulling off the side, brand new riser. I don't know why I'm looking at that screen when I can look at the camera. Yes, I will. Guys, I cannot find my Spix hat. It was around here, my Spix X hat. It may have gotten robbed. I don't know. I am ordering a new one. And, yep, there you go. If you can see, you're kind of, lift that up. You need to put a light under here. So I'm just going through, and actually, I like plugging the SATA in. These are SATA based risers. Let me plug that in.
I feel like one of the cameramen on the Discovery Channel.
We're looking at this ape trying to put in a riser.
In his natural habitat.
In his natural habitat.
Look at the advanced tools that he is using. It's almost like he's displaying some semblance of intelligence.
There you go. Yeah, that's true. And
will it save power if you turn off the LEDs on all your coolness over here?
They use 0.3 watts. So yes, if you turn them off, they use a little bit of wattage, not much.
But it's like racing stripes on a car. It makes it faster, right?
Yes. Exactly. You're catch on quick. All right, let's see if we can get this guy plugged in.
C. Rodriguez is watching from Fry's Electronics store, sitting in the massage chair.
Nice. He should. Is the Fry's guys watching too? All right, we can get that off. Actually, you know what? That might be. We're gonna put this on. You can put this. Is this back on right?
What are you doing?
I am gonna put this right here, and this thing is on cap patrol. So since this is a new riser, if this cap pops, you guys are gonna get a first up close image of an explosion.
Since you're watching it, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, if it does, fresh new riser. Let's get this done. No riser pop. We're on cap patrol.
It's gonna be a different one.
Yeah, I know. The flames out.
Ah, you missed it.
Did it do it?
No.
Oh.
No. Did it do it?
Don't even. Mark's my biggest fan.
Oh,
He
there
gets
you
me
go.
props all the time.
All right, so we're probably gonna want that. Yeah, that PNY is pretty cool. That thing lights up. It actually turns red when it's mining. It's white when it's not doing anything, and then it turns red when you get a miner on it.
I think that means it's angry.
It's angry. What are you doing to me? All right, let's see if we see a new card here. We do. 3 bad risers out of 7. That is not good. I'm gonna be calling me some Shenzhen, China people after this and saying no bueno.
They don't know Spanish.
Oh yeah. Whew, that thing stinks.
The blown one. Show it again. Put it with the little camera.
Oh yeah, I'll
They've
put it
been
with
asking about it. They're like, why do you keep talking about all these cats?
So that is what I'm talking about. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
There's some burnt trails.
On the far right.
Yeah, the far right one that's tilted, with its cap tilted. This thing just sucks at autofocusing.
Close.
It's too close, man. It's too close. Yeah. So yeah, this thing immediately popped, and it was like a puff of smoke that came off of it upon initial boot up. So the other ones didn't look like they died. We can switch back. And no, we'll don't need it. Okay, it looks like it's set it up. So if we want to, can we? Man, we really need to get that other screen because that looks like horrible. Is it all the way in?
No.
Sorry.
What are you laughing about? Is it all the way in?
Now it's all the way in.
Oh, it's all the way in. Terrible. It's comedy relief with females. All right, 1050 Ti, 1063 gig, 1070, 1080, 1080 Ti, RX480, RX580. And a horrible screen display of that, and I'm so sorry. So we can zoom out. The entire Nvidia lineup, essentially. And out of the box, let's get this started with just the just ETH. So there's 2, 5. And there's the whole lineup. 11 gig on that one. And then we will go through and we will mod a couple of the settings on this. What's our time at? Stream time. 1 hour, okay.
A lot of people are asking return on investment. What's a good time frame?
A good time frame back in the day was about, if you could get it in 3 months, 4 months, was pretty decent on our mining rig. Even hell, 6 months was pretty decent. I mean, 6 months on your money is amazing. Like, there is nowhere else in the industry you can usually get 6 months on your money. Right now, I still think it's still probably around 3 months, maybe almost 4 for most stuff.
With the price inflation of the cards.
With the price inflation, it's probably more towards 5 or 6 months at this point.
Yeah.
But you know what I say to everybody is, you know, you put in what you can. You know, don't put yourself in an issue. You got to treat this kind of like a partial investment, a risky one. You know, just because, you know, there is a lot of you know, crypto instability with, you know, some of the pricing. If you're looking in the short term, if you're looking in the long term, I think you're going to be okay. I think right now with the way crypto is and the mass adoption right now, I think it'll be in pretty good shape.
With my one rig, I should say you should look at about $1,000 per month for every 170 mega hash in ETH.
Yeah, in ETH. Well, I mean, once ETH starts to, if they actually go proof of stake in the next 3 or 4 months here, the people just getting in now, and this is the end of June, will essentially have up to the current schedule for ETH's proof of stake. So this is pretty much the last month, if on the current schedule, that if you were going to get into buying more stuff and you just wanted to do ETH, that you're in no more than probably the first or second week of July if you're just targeting ETH on their current schedule. Will they hold proof of stake? I have no idea. Nobody knows. This was proof of stake was supposed to be out last November, so you know, if they're gonna have to reset the difficulty bomb, because it's rising difficulty exponentially right now to the point that the Ethereum network's not going to be able to handle it. You know, that's a question. I think it's going to get through. They got to get through their testing over the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks that they're going through right now to find out if they're actually going to do proof of stake hybrid or not. So right now we see all the cards running, but you know, the guys, there's Zcash, there's you know, 6 to 10 other currencies right now that are the kind of the bigger currencies that you can mine and platforms that you can hold up, and then there's a whole litany of other ones that you can point hash rate to also, that you can go more of a long-term investment. If you're looking at every month trying to turn you know, pay for your power and all that on there and have that more long-term investment, you know, the initial surge unless price really changes is not going to change right now. If anything, it's getting it's taking you now you know, 4 to 5 months to pay off those rigs. But you know, that's still not bad. Those are terms that we used to deal with. And you know, you just mined and you sold what you needed to sell to upkeep the, you know, the bills paid and the power paid, and then just, you know, you held it to see if there was a large price increase. You know, and Ethereum had that. The folks that were mining for 7-8 months were mining nearly at a loss, and then there was a massive surge in Ethereum prices. So you know that's the chance that folks take, and that's the chance that everybody takes when they mine like that. So it's more of just getting in there, getting committed, build what you can afford, and you know, just let it run. Again, the hardware is always a hedge on it. That's why that's why this is attractive, because you can buy, you know, a 1080 Ti, you pay $700 for it, and next year, even if a new series comes out, it's probably still going to be worth close to $400. You know, you might lose $300 on that initially, just in the value of the card, but more than likely you've made that up in the crypto that you've had. So we see all of them mining right now. The 1080, so the 25 mega hash, the last card GPU 6 is the 1070. It's a 25 out of the box. So now we're at 164 with this multi-card weird rig for the 7 cards. And again, we have some of these that are way low, and that's what's bringing down the total hash rate, but looks like we're good there. So now we're gonna open up, we're gonna close that part, and now let's start doing some modifications. So we're gonna open up Afterburner. It's gonna try to figure its life out with like, oh my god, you gave me too many different cards.
What are some common reasons that a rig that's been running for 24 hours might, and was stable, what would cause it to crash?
All kinds of stuff could happen.
Top tips.
It ran for 24 hours.
Just 24 hours or 24 hours a day for...
No, they just set it up, it ran for 24 hours, and then it crashed.
And can you restart it and it doesn't work?
I don't know.
I would say if you guys have questions that are kind of more deeper diving questions, send it over to bitsbetrippin@gmail.com. If you guys have been following us and sending me messages, anybody in this chat that sent me a message, you guys can respond back. I do respond back to those messages. So send me one at bitsbetrippin.
Also, is it just not working, or is it throwing errors?
Yeah, there's a lot of missing information there. So guys, if you saw what I did here, I went into settings, and right here at the top under general, I can go through and I can manually adjust each of these different graphic settings with these cards. So I'm choosing right now the 1070, which is GPU 7. I unchecked the synchronized setting for similar graphics processors. I'm doing each one manually. We're going to come in on the 1070. We're going to leave it at 100 power limit for right now. We're going to set the core on this one to, we're going to do a moderate 125 on the Founders Edition. And we're going to come in here and put this at 650. We're going to apply that one. We're going to come back in here in the settings. So that was the 1070, the GTX 1070, 650, 125. I left everything else the same. We will mess with power and all that after. I just want to make sure I can get some clocks out of it. GTX 1080 is the next one. I'm hitting OK. GPU 6 selected. It comes up to here. This one I'm going to give a little more power because the 1080s like power. More power. And then we're going to go into the core, and we're going to take this to 125. Well, not to 1250. That might catch fire. And then
caps.
Yeah. And then we're going to take this memory up to also 650. I think this has a little more legs on it than that, but we're going to just take it to 650. We're going to go back into settings. We're going to do the 1080. We're going to hit OK. We're going to leave power limit and all that there. We're going to take this one to 100. No, we'll do 125. I think this one's got 125 in it. This is the twin. This is the which one is this? The 1080. Yeah, 1080 Founders can do that. And then we're gonna take this one to 650.
Since there's a vertical GPU button that you can select cards there.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure that people understand where settings are. So settings, So I'm going to the 1050 Ti. That's what I just selected there. And then I'm going in, I'm leaving that one the same. I'm pretty much gonna do this across the board on all of them. I know that this one can do a little more. I'm gonna do 750 on the memory there, plus 750 on the 1050 Ti, 1060. We're gonna go to 135 on this one, and we're gonna go to 850 on this one. And then the 580 is already set up with the BIOS hard coded, and the 480 I don't know if we can do. We can do clock settings on this. Core we're gonna leave the same. Memory, this is not reading that 480.
Which card are you working on right now?
That was the 480 from the Gaming X480. We're gonna leave that one the same for right now.
1080?
No, it's the RX480. So now, so we just did the Nvidia cards. We're gonna come in and we're gonna start and see what. So we were at, I think, what was the top before? It was 160, 164 or something like that. I don't remember. There's all 7 cards. Again, we'll have all these cards in the description updated where you guys can pick them up.
What's your power at right now?
I should have did the power before, but here, what's the 182 right now? Or that is not getting the light from the. It's.
Oop. And that was.
No, we're way off now. There we go. 1060. I don't know why this thing's not picking up the light.
Just read it.
No. I show people. Trust but verify, right, folks?
Lean forward a little bit. Lean it forward. There. Up. That's it. There we go. That's perfect.
That's what she said. Oh, wait. What? Did I say that? 1060.
1070.
1070. Yeah, so just over 1100 watts for all these cards. So we're at 182 mega hash right now. So GPU 0 is the Gaming X 480. That's doing 24.5. The GPU 1 is the RX580, doing 29.5. The GPU 2 is doing 36.5, which is the 1080 Ti. GPU 3 is the, I believe that was the 1060.
That's 1070, I think.
No, 1060. 1070 is the last one.
Ah.
1060 is doing 23.2 right now with that setting. GPU 4 is the 1050 Ti, which is doing 14 flat right now. The GPU 5, which is doing 24.
That's the 1070. Then the 10.
No, 1070's got to be right here.
That's
doing 30.
1080.
No, 1080 doesn't do 30. The 1080 is doing 24 right now.
Oh.
The 1070 is doing 30. 30.4.
No. Wait.
Oh, whatever. You're confusing me. So we're at, yeah, the GPU 5 is the 1080 and the GPU 6 is the 1070. And that's why, you guys, the 1070s are out of stock everywhere, is just with some moderate overclocking, and it's already at 30.4 mega hash.
The 1060 you're using is 3 or 6 gig.
3 gig. The 1060 is a 3 gig. The 3 gig right now with a moderate overclock is getting 23.3.
Can you use the little cam and show where your stuff's connecting to the motherboard?
Yeah.
Your risers.
All right. So the 1050
No, the riser.
is on the. I know. I'll get to the riser. So the 1050 right now, everything is in order. Is in order on the way this setup is. So the 1050's here. It's plugged in the last slot on the board, and I will point to the board. I'll show you guys the board in a second. So they're in the order on the board as they are on this rig. So 1050, 1060. You can see 1070, GTX 1080, GTX 1080 Ti, which is the next one. Then the RX480, RX580. So they're all plugged in the order that they're in there. So there's the 1050. I'm getting a little bit of lag. There. A little 1050, 1060, 1070. Yeah, you guys get it. 1080, 1080 Ti, 480, 580. So that's the kind of build, and we're at, I don't know why we were fighting with this power when I could just have done something like this.
Oh, look how clear that is.
And there's the power usage. Getting a little bit of lag, but we can switch back out. Yeah, that's probably why.
It's not gonna affect the local stream.
Yeah, it's just as the quality. How's the quality of the stream?
Seems to be alright.
Yeah, it's still green over there. Yeah, and we're still holding. Again, there's no other fans, so we got a couple that are pretty hot right now, just because they don't have any other secondary cooling on themselves.
Is it okay to put one of the cards directly into the motherboard, or do you need risers on all of them?
You could absolutely plug one of the cards in the motherboard. It's perfectly fine. On these kind of builds, though, it doesn't really work with this. You can zoom out. Talk to them right now. We'll let this run for a little bit. I want to make sure it's stable. You can run a board anyway. I mean, you can plug cards into it. You can run risers up past the cards and have it kind of configured a little differently. In a build like this, and maybe I'll show the oh, this isn't on the this kind of build. You can't really put the card down in the board with this kind of case.
They want to see the S button again.
The S button. Well, we're zoomed out now.
Yes.
Here, just
Do the little one.
do the little one.
Ooh, glare.
Here, am I through this?
Yes. Oh, that's gonna be wrong.
Pull it straight out. That way.
Ooh, blurry. Oh my gosh, it's like a roller coaster.
Sorry guys, if rip, if you were trying to pay attention. So S button.
That's much better video on the screen.
Yeah. Well, we'll get the other capture card working on the next video, and then we won't have this problem anymore.
If they were in stock,
Switch
would you
it, switch
take
it.
a 570 8 gig or a 580 8 gig?
I'd take the 570 if it's cheaper. We can get. It looks like you're stressed from that.
I know.
Let's get through some of the super chats, because there's been a lot of people that's. Yeah, actually, it's a good. I saw somebody's comment there. Yeah, come in and say it. If you see both, take both.
Yeah,
We're gonna get in and check the super chat, guys, and I'm gonna answer those questions. I thank you guys for. I saw some flowing through there. we'll get through and answer some questions. This should be down here. And then we'll start from the top. All right, so we got Bob. Thanks, brother. RBR 388. A quick one. Lifesaver for us noobs. Jay Maury. Murray. Use this to host Hashers Conference in Vegas. Yeah, I did go to that, and I did host. I did a conference there. I haven't seen another one coming up. We have to ask Marshall. Thank you for your video. How setting up a rig with is appreciated.
Wow, was that English?
Words. $15 from Chris Offtech. Like a boss. That's true. Thanks for the lecture here. Yeah, you guys are just hooking me up for, you know, we're gonna take all these funds and we're gonna make this stream better. Have you had GPU hash list free? Yes.
You don't know what you just
have
said
you?
Yes,
so you should if you.
Do you have a GPU hash power list for AMD cards?
Yes, we do. Yes, it's going to be on the website at some point.
We have it. It is not up yet.
It is not up yet. I did tweet out some stuff. We do have our Azure portlet set up, and we're working on the website still.
All right. Again, Derek with his banana money. We spoke a little bit with Dulce about what would cause a rig after 24 hours that was running stable to crash. He's gotten some help in the chat, but he's going to shoot you an email with more details, right?
Yes, we will answer that question.
And then the last one was the 570 over 580s.
All right, perfect. Yes, both. Buy both. If you see them both, get them both. But yeah, the 570s would be probably your best.
All right. I'm a noob.
So yeah, so we've let these run for a little bit. We're gonna shut this down. So take a note. Let's take a note of what these are. And what I'm gonna do just for the, we'll get into a few more questions and answers. What I'm gonna do now is there's some concern out there, and I want to address this from what I understand and what I'm gonna be doing from a research standpoint is as ETH gets its retarget every like 4.5 days, there's these things called EPOCH levels, and right now we're at EPOCH 130. And I believe what at 150, 180, 190, as these in the next like 90 days, there's going to be a big hit to the RX480s and 580s right now from just people benchmarking and testing that. I've reached out to AMD just directly. I've tried to send them some notes, trying to reach out and find out what's going on, and other folks in the industry to see, you know, is this a driver issue? Is this a true genuine platform issue? And see if we can get some answers out there. You know, if they're going to try to address it with them working like Nvidia on some supposedly on some mining cards that are going to be Polaris based. This is kind of something that they need to address. Otherwise, they're going to have a big issue when it comes in about 90 days when they're going to have some extra supply here, and their hash rates are halved. So looking at that now from this really is just pertaining to ETH right now. This has nothing to do with any of the other currencies. So if you're mining ETH and ETH does not go proof of stake in the next 90 days, this is one of those kind of meetings of the you know, immovable object, you know, kind of concept where if ETH has an issue where they cannot get proof of stake done, then they're going to have to go out there, adjust the difficulty bomb, and then extend it, you know, reset it for, you know, another 5 months or something down the line, resets the difficulty, reties it back to hash rate, something like it to that nature, and then we'll have to see about if this issue with the Polaris cards are going to be an issue or not. Otherwise, all the other currencies and things that we're talking about are not affected by this. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a note of the current hash rates right now, you know, and take a snapshot. Let's get, can we get a snapshot of, on maybe one of the things where we have the contact us right now, and just take just across from GPU 0. We can just do just the numbers. Just 24, 29.5, 35, because all the GPU numbers are going to stay the same. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in there and do the benchmark on the future epoch numbers, and we're going to look at live what happened. So we're peering into the future with Claymore on Ether's network right now, and we're going to see what happens when the DAG grows and it's having to work with these more complex numbers here. So you got a snapshot of that, and you can port that in. Perfect. That's a faster way to do it. We are going to close this, and we're going to come into here. Oh, not that one. We're going to come in here. We're going to edit this, and this is, I believe it's a minus benchmark. I have not done this because I was out of town, and I think we're at 130, so we're going to bump it to 150. I believe it's that here. I'll use this one down here for that if we want to get it closer. If you just want to be zoomed out, we can use this one. I believe it's that benchmark. Save. And not yet. We'll switch in a second here. I want to make sure that it's actually going to run. Okay, it is. So right there, if we want to switch to this. So it came up here, and now we're in the 150. So in EPOCH 150, the hash rate went from 180 to 140, and that's because, well, 170. Here we go. We'll zoom out. Now we have a lot of Nvidia cards here, so it's not really affecting right now this piece here. So let's bring up, let's see if we can do this. Oh my god, that video is just jumping all over. I don't know what's going on there. It's the matrix kicking in. So bring up the other, can you bring up the other image like above it? We're going to, here I'm going to drop this down. Just switch it back to the other. There we go. You got it. You got it. So we can see it's really just the first two, because the Nvidia cards hardly at all take a hit. So what's the first one drop from? It goes from...
It was 24.5.
24.5 to 21.4, so about 3. And then what's the second one went from 29...
29.5.
Yeah, 29.5 to 25.4.
Then 36.4.
32, 14. So the Nvidia card's not affected hardly at all on this. Lost a few mega hash on the AMD cards using that benchmark level. So again, this is just peering into the future. Each one of those levels, I believe, is 4.5 days, so you can do the math on that. We went up from 130 to, so that essentially it's 20 times 4.5 is essentially what we just did. That's what, 60 days? We just went 60 days in time. Let's do 170. So that's going from 130 to 170. We can go 180. We can go 50. Or no, we just were at 150. EPOCH level 180. So now we're 50 times 4.5. What is that, 200 days? See if we can get this to where you guys can see it. So now it's doing...
That camera's way too wiggly up close.
That's doing a lot of filling at 180.
It looks like some of the Nvidia cards are not liking that.
Looks like just one. The 3 gig. So at 180, that level goes to, switch it. 180 may put the DAG file over 3 gig. Yeah, too big. So it says too big for buffer for DAG on that one. Edit. 170. So we're going to 170. We're just doing in the Claymore, guys. We're doing a minus benchmark space and then the actual DAG piece here. Let's go ahead and click this back. I'm doing the EPOCH 170. Not getting the DAG file there on that. So the 3 gig was puking on the 180. The other ones are catching up.
Yeah, looks like
they're all up. And right there, 16.9, 19.9. That was minus 10 mega hash on a BIOS modded RX580. 16.9.
So that's a lack of 8 mega hash.
A lack of 8 mega hash on that. So again, I know some of you guys are probably like freaking out and wondering what the heck. And here, you can kill this. We are looking into it. We are going to, not showing clocks on cards. GPU-Z not showing clocks on cards. Try to use hardware info 64. We can shoot a link on our, let's add that, we'll put hardware info. We'll put the link on our description to hardware info and see if you can see the clocks on that. If you can't see it on GPU-Z, try to download the latest version. Make sure you have the latest version. But again, we are going to be looking into this. I'm peeing in the industry too to see what's going on and if they're going to address it through like a BIOS update or a driver update, if they have, or this is just genuinely an issue with the Polaris line. Again, this is just with ETH and the way it's handling the Dagger Hashimo algorithm.
The 580 you have in this, is it 4 or 8 gig?
It's an 8 gig 580. It seems to be agnostic to if it's 5 or 8 gig on this particular issue. And if I get rid of that setting, it'll all go back to all as well. And right now, based on the current proof of stake hybrid, if it deploys when it's supposed to, let's zoom back out. If it deploys like it's supposed to after testing, then we're looking at like October time frame of when we'll be at 150 on the EPOCH, and we'll also be where it's a kind of a moot point to be mining, or it'll be hybrid on mining ETH, and we'll be looking at other alternative currencies to be mining at that time. You know, if it's Zcash, if it's Library Coin, if there's other currencies, and there's a lot of stuff in works too, guys, when it comes to also maybe evolving away from the proof of work algorithms. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming in, and I didn't get into this in the last one, of people that are looking at like Golem and other currencies out there that's feature sets are looking at submitting jobs for these mining rigs to do. So you're looking at something that would be, I don't know if they've really coined it yet, but like a proof of effort, where you'll take a complex problem set and then distribute it out to this parallel computing, these miners. And it's not, you're kind of doing a proof of stake when it comes to the token generation side, but the actual effort side is leverage. You know, there's folks looking into how we will use these kind of machines as doing not kind of a wasteful proof of work effort, you know, to where we're all just kind of facilitating the security on the network by doing a proof of work and doing a consensus, to moving that into something that's actually using this hardware and these CUDA cores and these AMD cores as something positive, as solving solutions, forecasting, that kind of stuff, and parallel tasking that is like a supercomputer. So mining is going to be here to stay for a while, and I wouldn't fear too much about that. Again, if you're trying to get into mining right now, you're looking at least a 4-month probably turnaround at the current prices. I mean, who knows, guys? I mean, tomorrow, you know, 2 good press things could come out about Ethereum, and then, you know, the price is back close to $400, and then what, you know, it changes everything that we just said, right? So this is one of those things that if you guys get into and you just let it run even when it's close to barely making the power bill, and you're upholding the network. You're giving a contribution out there for that, and you're getting compensated for that effort. So it's not for everybody, and I'd say some folks may want to stick to just getting the currencies if you want to get involved in the cryptocurrency. But you know, if you got any questions or anything else, you guys can obviously send us back a you know, an email to bitsbetrippin@gmail. I try to get back to all those, you know.
Sources for the information you were talking about, or is that
for which one?
What you were just talking about.
So there's a lot of folks out there covering the changes in with the EPOCH right now. We'll link to there's a blogger that just did a pretty nice detailed deep dive on it and put some charts out there, kind of going through what we just went through. We'll get that linked. Did we just freeze up? I don't know. It looked like we froze up. Stream green? Yeah, because they're...
Bitcoin mining setup tutorial. Didn't we kind of cover that in the last, or 21? Live stream 21?
Yeah, from creating a rig cradle to grave, live stream 21 kind of takes you through that, guys. We'll do questions for about 5-10 minutes here, and then we'll wrap this stream up. And we have, again, this week, I'm here this week, and in the evenings we'll be putting together a few more probably live streams, and I'm going to get an episode out for you guys on like a cradle to grave build for Windows OS. Also, we got some other hardware coming in to show you guys some of that, and then look at a few people have asked for an episode on just setting up the mining software. If you're new and you don't know where to start when it comes to mining software, and really centered around the syntax of setting up that address, like putting an address in there, getting an account set up, dual mining with just the actual proper syntax. So maybe an episode on that of just showing you guys the various things, and then the output of that will be in our description with pretty much where you could copy and paste. Hey, I want to dual mine ETH, and I want to dual mine with Scicoin. I want to do library coin. I want to do these, and then really kind of a cradle to grave on how to set those up. If you guys are interested in that, let us know in the chat real quick. I'm looking at doing that kind of setup for the different thing, because this is kind of be relevant information, especially as ETH starts to move to proof of stake. If they do, again, a lot of this stuff can change, guys. I talk about this. I talk about the risk with these things downgrading with the EPOCH. If they come in and reset that difficulty because they're not doing proof of stake, they have to do something, because with the difficult bomb, what's going to happen is the transaction times on Ethereum are going to slow down, meaning all this hash power isn't going to be fast enough to prove out and mint those new blocks. So the difficulty is rising faster than what we're putting onto the network right now, because that's a mechanism that they have in place right now with Ethereum. So they really, it's exactly what it is. It's like a ticking time bomb. So they're gonna have to either address it, or they're gonna have to move over to Casper or Metropolis and have the software updated to where they're moving to a proof of stake model. So something's going to occur in the next month or so with some notice on that, if they're gonna retarget the network. and readjust the difficulty and then extend that period, which should show an initial immediate decrease in network difficulty, which means essentially everybody will have a higher yield on what their output is. If price stays the same with that redifficulty, then everybody's quote-unquote RI just got a lot better. If they don't and they let it still go out, they're only going to let the transaction block time go so long. Right now I think it's at like 16 seconds versus like 10 seconds, so it's already delayed. There was some notes out there that they're not going to let it go into like the minutes or 2-minute transaction times. So getting that fixed is going to be a priority for them, or moving ahead with what the next production schedule of Ethereum is going to be a priority. So giving you guys some information on how to move the target hash rates I think is going to be vital, and that's going to be this week. That way you guys can start hedging on some of those other currencies and holding up their networks, giving that hash power over to their networks for that. So
how many cards can you set up on this Prime?
You can 9 cards on this if you use the M2 slots that are on this board. So there's 2 M2 drive slots that you can use that are on this board, just like the AR. If you get that, you can put 9 on here. And if you're mixing the rig, you can put it in Windows. If you're not mixing it, or if you're mixing it and you have all the same kind of cards, and you're gonna have to use Linux if you go over to 9.
Can you show all your boxes for the cards?
Yes, we'll finish kind of off of all what this rig is. And what do you guys think about this paint color? It's a little different. We'll use a little quick overview here. Here, I'm mixing up Jason. He's going to go to mix the other thing. I just figured I'd just use this one. So I guess the camera doesn't really show because of the glare, but this is actually kind of like a blue.
It's like a royal.
Like a royal blue. Let's see if we can get a different kind of overview. Again, that's the power supply we're using right here, which is the Corsair AX1500i, using a SanDisk. Alright, you can flip that other. I want to get the boxes. Alright, and what we'll do is we'll set them up.
Can you mix cards in Linux?
You absolutely can mix cards in Linux perfectly fine.
They said it's Ford Racing Blue.
Ford Racing Blue, yeah, there's. Let's get all these boxes here. Let's see here. I got a little bit of everything here. So we got 1080's Founder. $1,500. We're gonna get all the links listed on the. We'll put a light on that too, so it'll brighten that up. SSD.
Can you set up Claymore to where it will only mine with certain GPUs inside your rig and leave others out?
If you repeat that question?
They were asking if you can set up in Claymore to only mine with certain GPUs. To where maybe you could say if you've got a 6-card rig, you want 4 of your GPUs to mine Ethereum.
Yes, you can distinguish Ethernet.
I know, right?
You can mine Ethernet.
I'm totally a noob.
Yeah. Yes, you can define which GPUs you want to have live, and the ones that you don't, with no problem. Let's see here. So this is the 1080 Ti Founder. Here they are. It's like I knew they were around here somewhere next to each other. I may have tossed the 1070 box. Watch out! Incoming! And then I'm going to throw a light on this here.
Did you find the 1070?
I have not found the 1070 yet. And I'm missing our RX580 and the 480.
You said you built a wall of motherboards.
I have built a wall of motherboards. That's the 580. So it's the black edition, 8 gig for the RX580. And then what else am I missing? I'm missing the 1070. How do you find the 1070 box? And then I'm missing the MSI RX480. This guy here. RX480.
The self-paying wall. They're asking who's paying for your wall. And that you've blocked me out.
I blocked you out.
Where's the...
I don't know where the 1070 box is. What else am I missing?
I have the 3 gig edition of this card. I have the 6 gig.
Yeah, so I think we're missing the only other one that we're missing is the 1070 Founders, which looks exactly like this box, but it's the and it's an MSI one too. And then it just says 1070 there versus 1060 or 1080. There's the TI. That's the Asus version of the Founders Edition. The 1060. This is like the rarest card. Trying to find this card is impossible. So this 1060 3 gig edition XLR8 is like impossible. You see a lot of the 6 gig, but not too many of the 3 gigs anymore. There's a SanDisk 120 gig solid state in there. And this note about the 1050 Ti, that most all the 1050 Ti's do not have a 6-pin. This one does. This one has a 6-pin power adapter for the Win edition. I think this is gonna be the thumbnail with like maybe that.
Cheese.
Cheese.
So much cheese.
Yeah, that's gonna be the thumbnail now. So yeah, we're missing the 1070. So that's the cards. We'll get them up listed, updated. Again, all of these running and still running right now in the rig.
Play some Would You Rather. 1050 Ti over a 1060?
1050 Ti over a 1060. No. A 1060 all day long over a 1050 Ti. And so it comes down to really hard, it comes down to price point, guys. I mean, right now the price point is very, very tempting on the 1050 Ti, but the resell...
Mike, is this your 1070s?
No, that's not a Founders Edition. That's a different 1070 rig. The Founders Edition is... I'm totally misplacing these. I had a kind of an order, kind of, to those, but whatever. I mean, you could put, if you can get these, I don't even know what these go for. What do these go for right now? The 1050 Ti for the Win editions. These like 150 bucks or 140. I mean, that's super tempting. You could put a full rig of that. You overclock them, And again, if you guys, I did a moderate overclock on these guys. You guys can actually take that 1050 Ti to almost 1,000 megahertz. It gets at about almost 15. How much?
160.
160? I think I paid 150 for that. So I mean, I think you can get them down to 150, but
they have a single fan version for 140.
Yeah, get the dual fan version on that one. And let's get that. Do we have that link to the actual site on our description?
Yep.
So we just added those to our
everything but the 1070.
Everything but the 1070, yeah. So we can't find the 1070. So if you guys look at our description, we just updated that with the Amazon link straight to these cards. Those 1050s you can take to almost 950. Here, you know what? We'll do that real quick before we close this out. We're gonna close this out. I'm gonna go into Afterburner, and I'm gonna switch just the 1050 Ti. So we're gonna go and browse in this guy here, 1050 Ti, and we're gonna take this guy to 950, and I think 135. We'll leave the power the same. We're going to relaunch Claymore and see if we don't kill it, but I don't think we will. It's pretty unique seeing the two, both the Nvidia and the AMDs at the same time.
Be interesting seeing different generations of these cards working together.
Yeah, we were thinking about doing that before this, is taking the R9 390 and putting it in there with the RX series too, and having kind of multi-generations of cards. It takes a little more finesse with the driver, because you have to go in there and install the driver manually on the or at least you used to have to. You might not have to anymore in the latest Windows versions, but you have to like directly install the driver. So right there, guys, I don't know if they can, we're zoomed in. 14.7 out of that 1050 Ti, almost 15. So that for the Win Edition with the 135 GPU is popping off almost 15 mega hash. And you can get those cards for like 160 on Amazon right now.
They're saying Newegg's 130.
Yeah, 130. 130 is even better.
If that's the single fan that...
If it's a single fan, it's not as... I can't guarantee that you're going to get those kind of numbers on that. And that card is using...
Go for the dual fan.
Here, what I'll do is I'll pull this up. Let me close this real quick. I'm going to pull up GPU Z. I'm going to show you kind of the power just on that one card. And if you bring down the power setting, here, I'll move it over. Sensors for the 1050. So we're gonna leave this up. I'm gonna go back into Afterburner. I'm gonna adjust the power output of the 1050 Ti. I'm gonna take that guy down to 70. We're gonna launch this. Here, I'm gonna put this one over here and this one over here if we're gonna zoom out to where we can see them both.
And what's our wattage? Oh, I think they're asking about the individual cards. We won't have that information tonight.
I mean, we've done each of these cards, almost all of them, in the separate videos, and you can see what their wattage is by just banging through that videos real quick. You'll see the 1070, the 1080s, the 1080 Ti's. I'd say hit those videos and kind of jump through. Towards the end, we show each of the voltages and wattages on those. But I'm just kind of pointing out that this, dropping that down to 54% TDP, we're still at 14.7, and this card right now is using roughly 50, 60 watts, something like, or 50 watts. So, I mean, you're talking 50 watts on the 1050 Ti's, getting 14.7. So, I mean, a full rig is like less than 650 watt power. At 14.7 times 8 cards. So I was just trying to point that out on the 1050s Ti's, that that's all you guys can find, and it keeps it cheap for people. Almost 15 mega hash, 14.7. All right, we'll answer some more questions real quick, and then we'll call this a done.
For those that ordered cards back in May and are waiting for shipping, what do you suggest?
Back in May.
Some cards were ordered back in May, some in early June, and a lot of things are back ordered. Should they continue to wait for those? Should they search for more?
So I mean, you know, a lot of people are freaked because if Ethereum goes away, then, you know, our stuff's still profitable. Right now, Zcash and all that stuff is still super profitable. I mean, now the other risk is that everybody moves off of, all the hash power moves off of Ethereum and moves other coins. Is it going to dilute it? And that's another really good, valid question. And it all comes down to how many other proof of work coins are going to come out at the time, and is there going to be another surge in price for the others? Nobody knows right now. I mean, so we can all make assumptions on that. But if you're wanting to get into mining, I mean, it's really your call if you want to. I have cards still on pre-order, or back order rather, and we're just going to hold on because we're going to press on with mining. But I mean, it really comes down if you want to reappropriate those funds and just buy currency, or if you find another deal. What I always tell people is find and see if you can find something. Because if you can find something faster or earlier, or if something else comes in stock from another place, then you can cancel that order. So I'd say keep hunting and see if you could find something. Is there any other questions? We'll answer question for five more minutes. While we're doing that, I'm just playing around with seeing if I can kill like this 1080 Ti.
Talk about preloading your drivers and how you use your hard drive duplicator.
So I just do a fresh cut. Probably tomorrow is when I'm going to do that video. I was trying to look when I can get that video in together. I was actually going to just make an episode, but if you guys would rather have me do a live stream of the OS build from cradle to grave, everything like raw, like me starting from the very beginning and walking the OS all the way to setting up drivers and stuff, if you want that as a live stream, let me know. I think as a live stream you see all the little intricate details of that. We'll go through all that process in that video, and I mean, we could do that as early as tomorrow. Woo! 38.
With thumb drives being so cheap, why do you choose to use SSD over?
Oh, well, for Windows, I'm using SSD. For all my Linux builds, I'm using thumb drives. And that's just because even Windows to go on a thumb drive is still slower than an SSD. I like SSDs for speed. And we're talking $50. That's a $50 expense. That's not a high expense anymore compared to everything else that we're buying. So it's totally worth the SSD. You want to switch to this?
Aww. They said they'll leave the tennis player out of it.
Leave the tennis player out of it. Oh, his feelings will be hurt.
He will.
Right there, almost there. We popped 138. I'm messing around with the 1080 Ti. Can we go any higher?
Can you mine cannabis coin? Is that a thing?
Cannabis
I mean, I know
coin?
Potcoin, but
I haven't tried. I don't
different?
know. I haven't tried any of the other. I've only stuck around a lot of the main proof of work currencies, but as Ethereum starts to move on, moving over to another
Bring Tennis Pro back to the stream.
Bring Tennis Pro back to the stream.
Do you think that publicizing mining and talking about it and getting more people involved, will that ruin mining, or is this...
Oh, reboot the computer.
Or it's scrolled too fast. I think it's finished.
Do I think the discussing mining? No, absolutely, and I'll explain this real quick. The more people in the community is a good thing for everybody. Yes, there's a mechanical decrease in overall distribution if you're sharing the pot. That is just a math problem, right? So the more people that are on something, the difficulty rises, the less share you receive. However, having more people as part of the community and more people contributing allows for the decentralization of those events to not be so centralized with just a niche of mining people. Having a distribution of, think of it this way, if you're down in your basement and you have a rig and you talk about a rig and people come over to your house and have no idea about computers and they see this thing and immediately you're engaging a conversation. What is it? Why the heck are you using all that power? Man, that's expensive. All of these things that start that incubation of exposure to community and exposure to grow the base is good across the board, from adoption, from understanding what's going on and getting more comfortable with blockchain technologies. Also giving the platforms, as more platforms are spun up, or there's a lot of ICOs out there coming out left, right, and center trying to bring some features, and some of it's good and some of it's bad when they're not implemented right, as we've seen with Status's ICO locking the network up. But having other people contribute and understanding hash powers, getting into that concept that I was talking about, a proof of effort concept that could be coming out, and I don't know if that's been coined, so if somebody coins that, you've heard, and it's not out there, then you've heard it first here. But taking those jobs and efforts and parallel processing it across all the graphics cards, that's going to become a thing, because you're going to have a whole bunch of vested mining equipment out there that could be leveraged in that way. So having more people doing it is just diversifying the exposure, and it's getting more people into the ecosystem. So while we pay a short-term loss of being able to distribute and share and get people educated on it, it helps grow the mining community. There's a purpose for folks that are programming proof of work algorithms or getting into that proof of effort concept. They have a community that will service their needs with their mining hardware, and the potential value proposition to them and to us is that we would have a token that may at some point be worth something, and which is how mining originally, when I first started mining in 2012, this stuff wasn't profitable. It literally was like folding at home or doing like SETI at home, and we were using a lot of power, and it was worth nothing. And we had this concept and idea that we were upholding a network, and that it allowed the consensus algorithms to work, and that we were doing something. That concept lives true through every one of these different currencies that come out. So we are a part of the community. All of us are part of the ecosystem, and having more people into it is never a bad thing. That's kind of like almost greed in a way, and that never works in the long run.
Also, at the beginning, if you get a whole bunch of new miners get into the game, yes, they're going to take away a lot of the mining that you would have otherwise been doing, but they're then going to have some currency to spend, so they're going to transfer it somewhere, which is going to cause transactions. And the way that the pools or or Ethereum pays out is through transactions. So that's adding more work back into the blockchain that the miners then have to do. So at the beginning it's a little oversaturating, but then extra work comes in that then has to be done by those extra miners that are now there.
Yeah, it's an ecosystem, and growing the base is huge. I mean, growing the adoption is huge, and what they call that, what I was talking and the basic understanding of inviting more people into it is not just mining; it's the intrinsic value that you get out of it when you have other people that ask questions about it, or may say, you know, that's too complicated, I'm not going to get into that, but I'll go pick up some of the currency, you know. I'll go pick up, you know, I'll try to understand what's going on here, or, you know, all that cloud storage, like if it's with burst or with not really so much burst from cloud storage standpoint, but from storage coin or Scicoin or any of that, you start seeing the applicable public chain usage there. And you know, we're part of that community. If anything, if we do anything, we're growing the baseline, and I think it's valuable. So yeah, I see a lot of the emails, and I see some of the text messages and stuff from folks on the comments about, you know, well, you're telling everybody about it and you're giving all the secrets up, and I figured it out and I don't want anybody else to know. I never agreed with that kind of philosophy from the beginning. That's why when the gamers drop by and say, hey, you're bounding up all of our cards, my next question to them is like, hey, let me help you configure a miner. Why don't you, when you're done playing your video game and you're sleeping, set up a miner and hedge a little on that graphics card, you know, become part of that community. Because eventually, you know, it's just the way it's moving forward. Eventually the games are going to have that crypto kind of concept built into them. You got stuff like eBoost, you got stuff like a lot of other currencies out there that are coming out that are looking to integrate into the gaming industry, into the live stream gaming, into that kind of stuff that's going to allow, you know, maybe that's the proof of work side of it, right? So, you know, that's just more effort for us to point our miners to. So Ethereum, why, you know, the proof of stake is kind of a thing that's concerning. If it goes to that, if it goes to that, that's fine. There's other currencies and other feature sets that require this kind of hardware. So kind of went on to a tangent on that, but hopefully it answered it. And if I'm boring you guys, I mean, let me know too. We can.
Latest info on the big motherboards and the special cards that are supposed to be coming out for miners.
No info on the new cards right now. I haven't seen. They were supposed to be. It's the 23rd. Was it 23rd, 24th? What is today?
Today's the 24th.
24th. They were supposed to come out today or yesterday, right?
Which card? Nvidia.
Yesterday, right? I think it was the Nvidia. It was supposed to launch on the 23rd, and I didn't see anything. I haven't seen anything on the web.
We're missing the SpaceX hat too.
I know, I miss that. Guys, I will run it down. I don't know where it's at. I haven't seen it. Jason's going from like a tent that he's found it. How
is it just right there?
Did you not see? What? I looked all over the place for this hat. Did you see it earlier or something?
I saw a hat, and
then he totally stole it.
Oh, I think Jason, like, oh, you saved me. It's back on.
I'll tell you where I found it later.
You did find it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Is it still profitable to mine?
Yes, it's still very profitable. Jason for the win.
See, I know things.
We got it back. It's a little dirty.
They say you look like Kevin James.
Kevin James. Yeah. Is Claymore the fastest miner? It's up there. I don't know if it's the fastest. I think it's pretty comparable to being close to the fastest. I mean, I get pretty close to the same hash rates on. Well, I guess Nice Hash is still doing it. You don't see anything out there in the latest news on.
This was posted on the 14th.
Yeah, they were talking like stat. Yeah.
I didn't see any date or anything in there. This was 5 days ago.
I'm looking at the. You guys got any more questions? We're gonna try to wrap this stream up, I think, and then so I think some of it was kind of overwhelming to set up the miner setup and go through that, and we'll look at maybe doing that as early as tomorrow and doing also the full build end to end. I think that those two things are kind of need to know.
Pop the cap and found our cap.
Yeah, pop the cap and found our cap.
You'll talk about BIOS mods and all that later. Your AMD drivers.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and set the stage for tomorrow's stream. We'll do a cradle to grave build of Windows. So if you already know how to do that, you're gonna be bored. I'm sorry. And probably tune in later, midstream or so. Then once we get Windows up there, we will go through cradle to grave on setting up the mining software. And we'll go through the different currency syntax, and all the way out to like if you don't have like a Supernova account for like your Decred or your Psycoin or all that, we'll create one from scratch. So I'll walk you through like literally we built the computer, we got the drivers set up on the cards. Like it'd be the only thing you won't see is the build of a case. We'll just have the case built. So we'll go through the full setup of Windows, driver configuration, and a mining software with multi coins, essentially. Set up Ether, set up Decred, set up Psycoin, and then we'll save all of those syntaxes out there for you guys. So that'll be the live stream tomorrow. I think we'll probably pick around
what time tomorrow?
Probably 7:30, 7.
This question has come up a couple times tonight. DAGless mining. Can you do that with 2 gig cards and stuff like that?
No. The DAGless mining has nothing to do with the has nothing to do with if you can run a 2 gig card. 2 gig card is just not happening anymore with Ethereum. You can use 2 gig cards for other mining software or for other currencies though. So it's just Ethereum that's really affecting you.
This article, it doesn't have a date, but it claims that the 1080 version of the mining card is going to start at about 350 and up to 60 mega hash of mining.
I highly doubt all that. Yeah. So I don't know who's writing this article, but this article, I mean, you could bring up that article real quick, just the header of it. Just copy that URL real quick and then just do just bring it in as a news source. So we're going to link an article real quick before we get out of here that they're saying that, one of the latest articles saying that they somehow have got a 1080 doing 60 mega hash. I highly doubt that's a thing. So, I do not think that's a possibility, considering the 1080 does like overclocked, it gets barely 25, 26. I would take that with a grain of salt until trust but verify, folks. I wouldn't even trust that. I would I'm trying like hell to get these companies to send us a sample of it. I've offered to buy them. I will send it back just to do an independent verification as any other reviewer would do. This is kind of our wheelhouse. I don't know how many other crypto people are actually doing you know, actual mining card reviews when they come out. I think Crypto Mind, a couple other folks are doing them, but nobody that has really the audience or scale that we do doing this. So I've been trying to, you guys can help us. Go out there, ping Nvidia, ping AMD, say, hey, you know, can we get this over to BBT? Just one sample card, and then we'll ring it out for you guys and then show it in front of you. That way, if you're going to go out and make a purchase, it's done through, you know, we're like a friend trying to help you out with that. I'll send that card stuff back to them. I don't need to keep it. I just want to test it and make sure it's good. It's a good purchase for people.
Is there any currency that you can mine with 2 gigabyte GPUs?
Almost every other currency besides Ethereum, you can mine with 2 gig card.
And ETH Classic.
ETH Classic too, or ETH Classic's DAG isn't the 2 gig, right?
Oh, it's not. Okay.
I don't know. We gotta check that. I haven't tried ETH Classic in a while. I don't know if it might be at 2 gig now.
I didn't know if it was a whole new DAG or if it was just.
It just where it forked off. It wasn't at 2 gig yet, but I think they're at 2 gig now.
Okay.
If there's any ETH Classic miners out there, you can validate it.
What's the difference between the version 5, 6, and 7 risers?
5 and 6 is just a cap configuration change. Both of them are still 4-pin Molex, and version 7 is a Molex 2 with a lot more stable caps, and version 7S is looks to be kind of semi-unstable capped SATA connector version. So
Uses SATA power.
oh man, that thing smells like a firework.
I know.
All right, let's do just another minute, and then we'll wrap this up. No 2 gig on ETH Classic. Okay, yeah, then it's DAG files past it. So every other cryptocurrency besides ETH and ETH Classic.
How many rigs would you recommend in an apartment? No more than.
Apartments usually have 4.
What's the square footage of the apartment?
Yeah,
Because it's gonna get hot.
it's gonna get warm.
Plus, you're also only going to usually have like a 15 amp, maybe 20 amp max line per room.
Yeah, you
So-
usually have 4 to 5 15 amps in the entire
So
apartment. So you're talking probably 4 rigs at max.
If you have 2 rigs in there, you're going to be a little warm.
Yeah.
If you start going over 2 gigs, you're going to start getting hot.
Yeah, 2 rigs, yeah.
Because I have a 2-floor, 1,200 square foot apartment. Last year I had a rig upstairs and a rig downstairs, and my whole apartment was just
Blazing?
warm. Yeah. It was warm.
Yeah.
Do you plug the HDMI into the card or into the motherboard? Your primary card or the motherboard?
I plug the HDMI in the motherboards. No, I sometimes reuse the card, like on the TB250 BioStar. I use a card just because I don't like the onboard video. It doesn't work all the time. You've been kept yourself out of the video all night.
It wasn't me. I'm cool.
No,
Hmm?
Jason didn't show me any love. It's all good.
And this BBT's been out of the view all
I'm
night.
all good. I've had my moment.
Now you're all on the screen.
Great.
Yep.
Mike builds a wall in front of me. Jason cuts me out the screen. It's all good.
I'm giving you the screen time you deserve.
All right, that's enough.
She's like, shut it down.
Build the wall again. So.
That's funny. What else we got?
Nope. You need to go, babe.
We got the little one
Kids are
coming in.
getting tired. It's
All
time
right,
to
guys.
shut
I
it
think we're gonna
down.
wrap this up. Just do. There's one of the little ones. That's funny. All right, guys. We'll catch you guys tomorrow, and we'll bring that OS build and share. If you guys have people that are into mining or just now getting into mining, we'll share that video for tomorrow, because that's going to be one that they're going to want to see when it comes to building an OS. So we'll catch you guys later.